Hey blues fans, welcome. This is a very special episode of This Week in the Blues, our weekly take on blues history. I'm your host, Jimbo Big Train Matson with Big Train and the Locomotives. And this episode marks 1 year of This Week in the Blues. We've been doing this for 1 full year already, and we're not slowing down. We want to tell those stories. So let's take a look and see what happened this week in blues history. Josh White was born February 11th, 1914 in Greenville, South Carolina. He also recorded under the names Pinewood Tom and Tippy Barton in the 1930s. In the 20s and 30s, he became a prominent race records artist with a prolific output in genres including Piedmont blues, country blues, gospel music, and social protest songs. In 1931, White moved to New York, and his repertoire expanded to include urban blues, jazz, traditional folk songs, and political protest songs. And he was in demand as an actor on radio, Broadway, and film. Blues singer and guitarist Pinkney "Pink" Anderson was born February 12, 1900 in Lawrence, South Carolina. Syd Barrett of the English band Pink Floyd created the band's name by combining the first names of Pink Anderson and North Carolina bluesman Floyd Council. Pink Floyd. Starting in 1914, he joined the Indian Remedy Company to entertain crowds selling a concoction purported to have medicinal qualities. In the 1950s, Anderson toured with Leo Chief Thundercloud Cadeau and his medicine show, often with the harmonica player Arthur Pegleg Sam Jackson. New Orleans blues drummer Charles Hungry Williams was born February 12, 1935. He's best known for the innovative and influential technique he used on numerous recordings that came out of New Orleans in the 1950s and the 60s. Growing up in the Second Ward of New Orleans, Williams said that, "Ever since I've been big enough to know myself, I used to always be beaten on something, tin cans or something like that." Sounds like he was a drummer from the beginning. It was also a fertile musical area, where early on he met and played with the likes of Professor Longhair and Fats Domino. Chicago blues guitarist Sam Magette, better known as Magic Sam, was born February 14, 1937. No blues guitarist better represented the adventurous, modern sound of Chicago's West Side more proudly than Magic Sam. Born in 1937 in the Mississippi Delta, he moved to Chicago in 1950, picking up a few blues guitar pointers from his new neighbor, Syl Johnson. His uncle, Shaky Jake Harris, encouraged Sam's blues progress and gigged with him later when both were West Side institutions. The brilliant and highly influential blues legend James Kokomo Arnold was born February 15, 1901. Arnold was a left-hand slide guitarist with an intense style of playing and rapid-fire vocal delivery that set him apart from his contemporaries. He got his nickname in 1934 after releasing old original Kokomo Blues for Decca Records, a cover version of Scrapper Blackwell's blues song about the city of Kokomo, Indiana. Arnold began playing in the early 1920s, but also worked as a farmhand, as a steelworker, and ran a bootlegging business. Blues rock guitarist Gary Clark Jr. was born February 15, 1984 in Austin, Texas. He is known for his fusion of blues, rock, and soul music with elements of hip-hop. Throughout his career, Clark has been a prolific live performer, which has been documented in 2 live releases. He has also shared the stage with Eric Clapton, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, B.B. King, and the Rolling Stones. In 2014, Clark was awarded a Grammy for Best Traditional R&B Performance and 3 more Grammy wins in 2020. Blues guitarist James Super Chicken Johnson was born February 16, 1951 in Darling, Mississippi. He is the nephew of fellow blues musician Big Jack Johnson. Super Chicken spent his childhood moving from town to town in the Mississippi Delta and working on his family's farms. He was fond of the chickens on the farm, and this led to his friends to give him the nickname Chicken Boy. At the age of 13, he bought his first guitar, an acoustic model that had only 2 strings from a Salvation Army store. Blues rock guitarist Chris Duarte was born February 16, 1963. He is one of my absolute favorite blues guitarists. Duarte plays a style that draws on elements of jazz, blues, and rock and roll. In his own words, his musical style is a combination of rock and blues and punk blues. Go to YouTube and check out his version of Big-Legged Woman to get a feel for how he navigates a fretboard blending blues, jazz, and even some psychedelic rock into his solos. I'll include a link to it in the show notes. Well, blues fans, we just covered some of the highlights here. If you want to know about these artists or other things that happened this week in the blues, be sure to follow our social media pages or visit our website at bigtrainblues.com. We'll have a new episode next week. We'll see you then.